When God writes your love story, it doesn't begin with a text or a glance. It begins deep within you, in the silent caverns of the unconscious, where your soul's truest desires are stored like sacred seeds, waiting for divine timing. It doesn't start with fireworks. It begins with a whisper inside, a knowing that the love you seek is not just partnership, but profound communion. We don't crave just another person. We crave a mirror, a reflection of the eternal. Carl Jung taught us about the anima and animus, the ideal image of the opposite within each of us. We don't choose these archetypes. They are etched into the soul. They shape every yearning, every attraction, pulling us toward a face we've never met, but somehow always known. When the divine authors your love, it doesn't skip over the pain. It redeems it. Every heartbreak you've endured, every delay, every tear cried alone in the dark, all of it was preparation. Preparation for a sacred script written in divine ink. You'll recognize the one not through logic, but through a deep, unshakable knowing. Before words, your breath will know them. Before certainty, your bones will feel them. Jung called these moments the dance of archetypes, a universal pattern breaking through the veil of time, manifesting in dreams, in stories, in synchronicity. You don't fall in love, you awaken to it. And the person who appears is never random. They are a messenger, a reflection, a memory from the divine. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. But divine love turns fate into revelation. Synchronicities arrive, not as coincidences, but divine clues. You meet unexpectedly. A glance, a message, a dream, and suddenly, it all aligns. This is not randomness. This is design. Jung described synchronicity as the universe winking, a glimpse beyond the veil, a sign that the soul's prayer was heard. But it's not always gentle. Divine love disrupts. It rattles your cage. It exposes your shadows, your masks, your wounds. Because real love, sacred love, demands truth. And truth cannot live where the ego reigns. To enter divine union, the false self must dissolve. This is grace in disguise. Jung taught that the shadow, when faced, becomes a wellspring of strength. It is not your enemy, it is your initiation. When God writes your love story, he begins with the undoing, so he can rebuild you on sacred ground. The one God sends is not here to complete you, but to reflect you, not to distract you, but to walk beside you toward wholeness. They will hold both your light and your darkness. They won't flinch when your pain rises. They will rise with it. Together you will grow. You will dissolve the illusion of separateness. Who looks outside dreams, Jung said. Who looks inside awakens. God does not send someone to fix you. He sends someone who helps you remember that you were never broken. Divine love reveals your wounds, but it also offers balm. It teaches you patience. It calls you deeper into trust, vulnerability, and truth. This isn't fairy tale love. This is alchemical love, a fusion of soul and matter. In this kind of love, silence speaks. A glance feels like a prayer. The touch of a hand stills your nervous system. The presence of the other becomes a sanctuary. This intimacy is not just emotional. It's spiritual, psychological, archetypal. Your love becomes your classroom. You learn forgiveness not as an idea, but as a daily practice. You learn the discipline of presence, the courage of apology, the grace of witnessing. You are no longer just lovers. You are sacred assignments to one another. Jung reminded us, to know your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of other people. And in divine union, there are no masks, only mirrors. This kind of love is not needy. It's rooted in covenant, not codependence. You don't chase, you allow. You grow separately and together. Because this love isn't fragile, it's forged. It matures you. It doesn't ask for your performance. It welcomes your presence. It holds space for all of you, even the parts you thought were unlovable. Because the one God sends was never meant to love only your light, but your becoming. You no longer fear distance. You trust the silence. You remember the synchronicities, the dreams, the symbols. You no longer control love. You surrender to its sacred rhythm. This love doesn't complete you. It mirrors your completeness. You begin to recognize the difference between loud, chaotic fantasy love and soft, sacred, soul-anchored love. Before divine love arrives, you often feel its absence, a holy silence. Not emptiness, but preparation. You no longer beg for scraps. You plant a garden. And when you do, the butterflies come. There is something holy about the one who meets you after your rebirth. They don't just witness your scars, they honor them. Jung said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." The letting go of people, illusions, attachments is not punishment. It's pruning. And when your soul is ready, so is your story. This person will not be confused by your depth. They will match it. You'll sense their presence before they arrive. Through dreams, signs, numbers, whispers, you'll begin to prepare not for a person, but for a union. You bless your solitude. You sit with it. You let it shape you. You no longer settle, not because you are difficult, but because your soul now recognizes what is false. When God writes your love story, the timing will feel like alignment. It won't rush. It won't delay. It will arrive like a sunrise, slow, certain, undeniable. This love will not love your achievements. It will love your energy, your essence. It will not rescue you. It will remember you. It will feel like something holy returning. Jung wrote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. This love will feel safe, not because life is easy, but because your nervous system trusts it. You'll feel like you're continuing something eternal. It will expand you, awaken your gifts. Not distract, activate, not confuse, clarify. This isn't a savior story. This is a soul story. You'll find that this love blesses others just by existing. You don't lose yourself in it. You rise into yourself more fully. You'll protect each other's solitude, honor each other's light, and speak the language of souls, where silence is sacred and presence is enough. Even in silence, the energy will speak. Even in absence, the bond will remain. Because divine love doesn't fade. It evolves. It doesn't fill your emptiness. It amplifies your fullness. It doesn't fit the world's mold. It fits your soul's mission. And in that space, you create not just a relationship, but a sanctuary. You no longer live from the wound. You live from the wisdom. And as you sit beside them, there is no need to impress, just to breathe. You realize the delay was mercy, the denial was protection, the silence was sacred. This love doesn't ask for masks. It asks for presence. And in being seen, you are healed. Together, you transmute trauma into treasure. You stop searching for completion and start overflowing with truth. Jung called this individuation the becoming of the self, not through separation, but through integration. This love is soft but strong, ordinary but divine. It arrives not with noise but with knowing. It is a relationship, yes, but more so a spiritual sanctuary, a vessel where God dwells between two hearts. In this love, you don't just speak, you spiral into dreams. You don't just connect, you co-create with heaven. And you realize this love was never just for you. It was meant to ripple outward, into service, creativity, light. This love makes you more of who you already are, not because they complete you, but because they reflect you. You're not afraid of conflict. You're rooted in purpose. You don't perform. You exhale. You live with open hands and a softened heart. Jung once wrote, "Only what is really oneself has the power to heal, and divine love returns you to your truest self. It invites you to rise, not because you have to, but because you're ready. It invites you to love, not as escape, but as remembrance. When God writes your love story, you don't just find love. You become it.